Listen to this. Isn't the same person wife's heartbreak after husband is sucked into a world of conspiracy theories. I love the fact that the husband is like a child. Like he has no agency, no will of his own. It's the world of conspiracy theories that sucked him into. A shattered Queensland woman whose husband was rapidly radicalized during the pandemic is sharing her family story about the dangers of online conspiracy theories. The woman in her 50s who spoke to the Newscom Australia on the condition of anonymity said that she was speaking out to describe the other side. So, I love how this is normal. I mean, an average woman contacts the media organization and the media is like, you know what? International headline story. I am so glad you contacted us. And I am so glad you want to be anonymous so people cannot even fact check this. I mean, some person could have literally wrote this story out of their ass. But of course, we trust this website because they're journalists. They would never. How would you prove they lied though? Like, assuming they did. And also interesting how it's like, oh yes, the conspiracy theories pushed on the internet. What about the hysteria that was pushed by the media, especially in Australia? I mean, there were people that were at each other's throats, I remember. And this hysteria was pushed by the media. There were people radicalized to the opposite side. And like the world of conspiracy theories, man, there is there used to be so much censorship online regarding this subject, and you're saying it's not enough. I mean, at this point, just shut down the internet. That is the only logical solution. Now, let me tell you what else I find interesting. So this is a danger because of online conspiracy, and it just so happens that they go after this one case. What about the cases where people get addicted to gambling and it destroys lives? What about the cases where people get addicted to booze and they spend too much money on alcohol and they don't have anything to bring home, or they become aggressive when they can't buy another drink? Apparently, that's not in the newspaper. No. You know, like the real problem is the online harm, not the media harm. That doesn't exist ever. I mean, the media never sensationalizes, exaggerates a topic, radicalizes people. No, they're professionals. So apparently she said that she had been married to her husband for decades and that they had raised children together before his rapid descent into the dangerous world of conspiracies and disinformation. And this is the reason that I even presented this. She noted that while her husband wasn't yet a sovereign citizen, the term given to the ever-growing far-right movement whose members refuse to recognize the authority of the government. First of all, since when is sovereign citizen far-right? I mean, they are a bunch, from what I understand, right? They're a bunch of fringe ideologues that aren't necessarily left-wing or right-wing. I mean, technically, you can be a left-wing person and still be a sovereign citizen, or a right-wing person and be a sovereign citizen. They have like this weird interpretation of the law, like they apply maritime law to, like, for example, they consider a human to be a ship and you're coming out of the birth canal, and they interpret like laws differently. I saw videos about it, but yeah, like basically they refuse to accept the authority of the police, and they get in trouble because of it. Because like if you get stopped by a traffic cop for a minor violation, and you start, are you detaining me, sir? Are you detaining me, sir? Are you detaining? And you're being aggressive with that cop, you know, and the cop starts to think that you have something to hide. Yeah, I can see that would become an altercation. But like, you can be a far left person, you know, that supports LGBTQ rights, and you champion transgender to people to play in sports. Like, you have like all of the far left ideology in your head, and you can still be a sovereign citizen. I do not understand why it's far right, but I guess it's far right because it sounds more scary, right? My husbando was normally up until COVID, and now he isn't the same person. Yeah, I know a lot of people that aren't the same persons up after COVID. You know, like, there are people who all of a sudden were asking to show papers to McDonald's. Like, you want to go to McDonald's, you want to talk to your waiter, show paper. And it's the same people that used to be, oh, well, we can't ask minorities to have ID to vote because they don't have money to buy one. But apparently everyone has money for a smartphone in order to have a QR code, right? So you have these individuals We don't see them in the media. We do have moments where he is his old self, however. He believes in all sorts of things and can even contradict himself in the same sentence. I have heard everything from, I can't say this on YouTube, to Trump to change of the money system. Do we need to buy silver? To other things. You name it, my husband believes it. I hope that this woman never goes to a pub in her entire life. Like, the things that she is going to hear there, like what people speak in the real world, assuming this woman is real, by the way, because I don't believe it. I think that the news organization made it up. It's like, oh, this anonymous woman happens to call one of the biggest news outlets in the country, and the country is like, yes, perfect, we're going to write your story. And even if she exists and she says this, imagine if they called me and they said, hey V, what do you think about online censorship? Holy shit, I'm glad you came to the right place. I would be able to give them articles of hundreds of pages. But anyway, so the wife blamed her husband's transformation on the online community. Yeah, clearly. So it's not the government that was doing the crackdowns and the lockdowns and all of that. No, it's the online community. Okay. And by the way, the online community is the only place where people could talk during the pandemic because you were locked in your home. Like you couldn't go to the bar, you couldn't go to the club, you couldn't go out. So like basically the wife is blaming the friends of the husband. She's blaming, and you can even blame the government because if you lock people in their homes, like what are they going to do? They're going to talk online. Both our extended families have been pushed away because of what he believes. Even our children have a very strained relationship with him. Yeah, I think that's the problem of your children, really. Like, you raised a couple of bigots and intolerant people. Because I had the members in the family that also believe in fringe shit. I had people in the family that were highly religious, and I was an atheist. If this strains your relationship, it's due to you being a bigot. I mean, it's so simple to interact with a person that's ideologically possessed. When they start talking about the ideology, you go like, yeah, sure, yeah, no, seriously, yeah, absolutely. Can we talk about something else? I have yet to meet a person that's like so ideologically possessed that you cannot have a conversation with them. Like, they only know how to talk about the ideology. Like, that just doesn't happen. I'm pretty sure there is someone somewhere. And if that's the case, it's probably like a phase. Usually people talk more about their ideology after recently being indoctrinated in it. But after that, they just normalize it. So, the only thing you can do when you're dealing with such a person is to avoid talking about politics, football, and religion. And then it's fine. You know, like, if you were a grown-ass woman, instead of crying at Newscom Australia, you could have just spoke with your husband and say, look, I understand you believe in these things. I do not. Can we just avoid talking about it? Because, like, we're not going to get anywhere. This is what a mature adult would do. Assuming, again, like, this is real. And, the fact that the media chooses to present this rather than, someone that had his family destroyed because of gambling, or had his family destroyed because of booze and alcohol, or had his marriage destroyed because of cheating, it tells me that this is their agenda. And their agenda is clear, right? Like, you need to censor the online space more. Look, Deakin University terrorism expert has said that the COVID pandemic had been an accelerant for a string of dangerous conspiracies. By the way, dangerous is code word for offensive. That's what it really means. It used to be problematic, right? So dangerous is code word for problematic. Problematic is code word for offensive. So what I say, like, the COVID pandemic has been an accelerant for a string of problematic conspiracies. Most of the people who were drawn into these conspiracies were probably not from sovereign citizens groups, but the pandemic caused people who didn't understand science, who were skeptical about the government, who didn't like McDonald's to join together. Yeah, like, imagine that. People who do not appreciate the fact that you have to go and show a QR code to your waiter at McDonald's. Yeah, those people exist. As I mentioned before, in the Romanian national anthem, it said liberty or death. I mean, it's very clear. Viața în libertate ori moarte strigă toți. That's literally in the Romanian national anthem. So there were enough people at one point to believe in this principle, that liberty is more important than everything. Right? Liberty or death. Like, there's no misunderstanding, that there is no two ways of looking at it. It's very direct. So, these people exist, and your Pikachu face when they're like, oh, but why don't you want to show QR code? Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.